Hello and welcome back to Niche Tea, where we talk about drama happening in communities you may not be a part of. Thank you for being patient while I was gone for a bit. We are back. Last time we talked about the K-pop community, specifically the very unified backlash a number of photographers faced after they were incredibly rude to Stray Kids at the event. Today we're going to talk about something that happened while I was kind of on my hiatus, but I was kind of keeping track of it as it was going, and that is happening in the glitter community. Specifically a back and forth that recently happened between the Slayfire cosmetics brand and a creator named Face Candy Jenna. Quick background, as I mentioned, Slayfire is a cosmetics brand. They have their own website and a bunch of different products, but they are very well known for their glitters specifically. Most specifically, their glitter gel. They have sizable followings on both TikTok as well as Instagram and utilize both platforms for marketing purposes pretty heavily, which would make sense. And I do believe the owner is directly behind most, if not all, of the content being put out on both of these platforms, as well as most of the back and forth communication with individual customers, and is a queer woman of color. Face Candy Jenna, or just Jenna, is a face painter who has 2.4 million subscribers on TikTok and another 30,000 on Instagram. As you might expect, given her profession, she does post a lot of content relating to face painting. That includes her actually doing work, face painting work for clients who are predominantly children. Her platform is very child friendly, but she also likes to talk about makeup, both for face painting purposes, like would I use this on a client, especially if it's a child who has sensory issues, as well as just for herself. She herself is someone who has sensory issues she says she has to work around, and specifically there are areas like glitter where that can be really difficult. So she's constantly on the lookout and doing reviews of new brands with different types of glitter, especially if it is professed to be sensory friendly, because she's always interested in seeing if there's something that she can use that she hasn't had the ability to use thus far, either for herself or for the clients she works with. Though supposedly she's really had a hard time with this specifically for glitter because of her own sensory sensitivities. So she ended up making her own glitter as well. She calls it a glitter cream, and she does sell these, though it doesn't appear that it is her primary source of income. It's not heavily promoted on her channel. One last thing I want to say, both of these creators have a history of liking to tussle. I found a smattering of things for both of them over the years about how they are a little rude sometimes and a little combative. They're also very 10 toes down, stand behind what you mean, like not the type to give up on things, and I think that plays very heavily into what happened between them recently. Before I go any further, I want to quickly say thank you so much to everyone who has contributed to the GoFundMe that I have been supporting. We have reached our goal way faster than I thought it would even be possible, and I am truly blown away by everyone's generosity and willingness to contribute to this. Thank you so much. I have been working with Pass the Hat and Operation Olive Branch. I am hoping to be reassigned to another family shortly. I know people have been saying you can just go in and pick another family from the spreadsheet. I went in, but like the GoFundMes aren't linked in the spreadsheet. And I really want to make sure to pick one correctly from the spreadsheet, because those are the ones that Operation Olive Branch has painstakingly vetted, and that is the benefit of being able to work with them. So instead, I picked one that already has been assigned, because then I know that creator has that link. The one that I picked is being supported by Colleen, and Colleen is supporting another very large fundraiser for a full team of artists and their families, a total of 15 people. These artists started their own studio in the last few years, and since this has begun, their studio has been fully destroyed, their homes have been fully destroyed, and one of them is unfortunately missing. If you think you might be able to help, you can easily get to the link through Colleen's profile. I've linked them below. Thank you so much to anyone who considers this. We've done a lot, and I'm so grateful, and the more we do, the more we can help. So, what happened? I've tried to film this so many times. I keep running up on time because there's so many details, so I'm gonna have to high level stuff. A few weeks ago, Slayfire posted a video to their tomfoolery playlist, which is one where they get a little combative, a little sassy. In this case, they were filling a palette while telling a story about working with a creator who tried to gatekeep sensory issues. They're talking about Jenna. The way they claim it happened is that Jenna liked one of their other products, and then they mentioned that they have sensory-friendly glitters. Jenna was like, oh cool, I would love to see that, and we'll see how they do, or said something like that, which they thought was weird. Then the video got posted, and Jenna didn't like it at all, specifically from a sensory-friendly standpoint. Slayfire says this is because Jenna didn't put the product on correctly. She wiped it on instead of tapping it on, which I assume would make the gel pull more. Slayfire says they tried to give tips and comments, but that caused a bit of a back and forth, so they just deleted their comments and just said thank you, and then they DM'd Jenna separately and just said, hey, sorry, I wasn't trying to come off as combative. I do think this makes a difference, but I'm sorry it didn't work for you, etc. And they both kind of just said, good luck, no hard feelings. But then according to Slayfire, Jenna came back the next day and accused Slayfire of using low-grade glitter, and then said, you can't call this sensory friendly because it didn't work for me, so it's obviously not. And when Slayfire pushed back on that, saying that different people have different sensitivities, Jenna then accused them of unethical marketing and blocked them. Then the next week, Jenna posted a glowing review of a different brand of glitter and threw shade again at Slayfire in that video. Now, Slayfire did not name Jenna in this video, but very quickly people figured out it was about her, and the video got 2 million views plus, so people started making their way over to Jenna's profile and giving her grief. Then a few days later, Jenna posted a response. Again, key points only. Jenna says that before any of this, Slayfire came to her and asked her about marketing their existing glitters that weren't made to be sensory friendly, but got a lot of positive reviews from people who needed sensory friendly stuff as sensory friendly. Like, oh, clearly people think they are, so why don't I go ahead and market it that way? Jenna said she loved the first product she got from Slayfire and that she really wanted the glitters to work for her. She has a really hard time finding glitters that work for her, so she was really excited to give it a try. She said she didn't really put it on wrong because she patted the one side that was the initial try, and once she knew she didn't like it, she was trying the other side just quickly, and that's why she rubbed it on, but also that she doesn't think that there should be a specific way you have to put it on for it to be sensory friendly. She apologizes for making it seem like she's the, arbiter of what is and is not sensory friendly, but does clarify that her initial review does not say anything blanket like that. She very specifically says, this doesn't work for me. And I went back and watched it, and that is true. She's pretty specific about saying, this is a me thing, and for me, this doesn't work, and she even says you should try it for yourself at the end. And she claims she hasn't said anything else about it publicly. Those DMs wouldn't have been revealed field if it weren't for Slayfire actually showing people those. And those are the only ones where she says flat out, you shouldn't market this as sensory friendly. They're not. She says as far as that statement goes, she means that yes, if something is to be marketed as sensory friendly, it should be sensory friendly to everyone, which seems like just a basic disconnect in what the term friendly means between these two people. And I do think most people would probably lean Slayfire's direction on that. Friendly doesn't mean proof. So if it does work for a decent number of people who have sensory sensitivities, I think it makes sense to call it sensory friendly. She says and does show that the reason she initially reached out to Slayfire after their first exchange in DMs was because she was concerned that someone had given Slayfire non-cosmetic grade glitter and claimed that it was cosmetic grade. She says that as someone who's worked with glitters of all different kinds for over a decade and has made their own glitter, she knows what cosmetic grade feels like, and Slayfire's does not feel cosmetic grade to her. And so she claims she reached out because she thought Slayfire was getting scammed by their supplier and wanted to connect Slayfire to her own supplier. And she was comparing Slayfire's to her glitter specifically because she knows her glitters don't have that same grainy feel that she felt with Slayfire's. And then so according to Jenna, she felt she was bringing a serious safety issue to Slayfire's attention and that Slayfire was being very polite but being very dismissive. So then Jenna's thinking, oh, okay, well, Slayfire doesn't care if it's a safety hazard to people. And then on top of that is marketing it as sensory friendly, which is a community I'm a part of and fairly protective of because they are constantly sold things that aren't actually sensory friendly. So on top of all of this, you're giving them something that, in my opinion, is not sensory friendly and is also unsafe, which then led to the accusation of unethical marketing and the blocking. Jenna wraps it up by saying that it's been 6 months since she posted that review and she hasn't said a thing, with the exception of the very next week saying after a less than awesome experience with Slayfire, and that after that she hasn't mentioned Slayfire once and she doesn't understand why this is being brought up now, and basically says she's not going to talk about it again. From here is where things get a little unnecessarily intense, in my opinion. I mentioned earlier that both of these people are known for being kind of snarky and combative and very much like a stand-on business type of person when they think they're in the right. For me, I would chalk this up to you guys have like a fundamental difference of opinion on whether or not this is cosmetic grade, and that has cascading effects on how you feel about each other and this interaction. Because if I try and put myself into each person's shoes, right, and I'm Slayfire and I truly believe that this is cosmetic grade glitter, then I understand why I acted the way I did in this exchange. And similarly, if I put myself into Jenna's shoes and I truly believe that this isn't and that this person is marketing this unethically, then I understand why I acted the way I did. Now, throughout this whole thing, there's been kind of a bunch of back and forth between the two communities in support of whomever it is that they like. Both sides accusing each other of deleting comments. I don't think that matters at all. You are allowed to delete comments on videos on your own page, period. You do not need a reason. You are allowed to block people from your own page, period. You do not need a reason. After Jenna posted her video, both creators continued to reply to comments and, engage with people over this within their own pages. Slayfire again accused Jenna of lying about various things, including in the interaction between them. Slayfire says that they never reached out to Jenna about marketing their products as sensory friendly and says that's a lie from Jenna. Jenna didn't have screenshots of that particular DM conversation, but had screenshots of a communication between her and Slayfire where she references that they reached out to her about marketing and they seemed confused about it in a comment section. But clearly at that time, which was before Jenna's actual review was posted, she thought that Slayfire had reached out to her about that. So whether it's true or not, Jenna thought it, and it explains why she would feel the way she did going into the review she did for the glitters. And for what it's worth, actually, the "we'll see" comment that Slayfire mentioned in their video from Jenna is in this screenshot, and it to me reads as playful, like, yeah, we'll see how it goes, like that kind of thing, not like ominous. I'm not entirely sure why, but Slayfire also felt that there was something about the DMs that Jenna was lying about, so they posted the entirety of the DMs to their story. This included an uncensored screenshot of Jenna's phone number. Now, I don't believe that was maliciously done. I think that it's a reflection of the fact that Slayfire is very, very upset about this and has a lot of emotions still wrapped up in it. But it doesn't matter. That is not okay under any circumstances. Point blank, period. And it was reportedly up for hours. Jenna found out because someone actually texted her. Thankfully, it wasn't someone malicious, and I have not seen any acknowledgement of that mistake or apology for that from Slayfire. And then the latest I've seen is that Slayfire is claiming that they've contacted or are in the process of contacting a lawyer over lies that Jenna has told about them as a brand. I personally haven't seen anything from Jenna that I would consider to be legally actionable, but I am not a lawyer. This was incredibly messy. This has been one of the most difficult videos I've ever had to film. I think I have 3 separate parts that are at the 10-minute max, and I am going to have to figure out how to edit them together, so if stuff's missing, that's why. I think both of these people have merit in the arguments that they are making. I think between the two of them, there is too much bad blood, and they just need to separate and be separated. I do have to say, though, that as a brand, I expect a lot more from Slayfire than I do from an influencer or just a content creator. Even the best possible faith assumptions of how Slayfire came into this and why they did the things they did does not change the fact that they doxed a customer to thousands and thousands of followers of theirs. Because Jenna bought those glitters. She didn't get them as PR. That was literally a paying customer. And even if it wasn't, even if this wasn't a brand, if I dox someone that I'm mad at, I'm gonna get rightfully torn to shreds for it. Even if it was done by accident because I was so mad because I thought someone was lying about me that I wanted to post our DMs and it accidentally had the phone number in there, which again is my best faith assumption of what happened there. It's not acceptable. Anyway, I'm glad these people are separated. I hope they never talk again, and I hope that everyone involved has learned something about how they might be able to approach conflict in the future in a slightly more productive way, hopefully.